We have a question posed before us.
Yep.
Shall I begin?
But will we actually be able to answer this unlike what the frick is a loon?
I will definitely be able to answer it for you. The question is, can you?
No. Well, it's an alien.
Not correct. They are not aliens.
It could be.
I don't have evidence to support that they're not,
There you go.
but I don't have evidence to support that they are.
Which means they could be.
We'll get to that. What the fuck is an Isu? Isu? Isu?
Isu?
Isu. It's Isu. We're going to be talking about the history and the lore of Assassin's Creed very briefly and very ad libbed. I have very little notes. I have not rehearsed this. Um, I'm not really going to be delving into the plots of the games themselves, though I do have a brief summary of them coming up.
Okay.
Largely, what we're going to be talking about is the more obscure, mystical, super far in the past or the present. The stuff that sort of letterboxes the historical events that the game represents. Because that is the overarching story that spans between each game, or did until very recently. Um, Whereas the games themselves are just snapshots of history and sort of self-contained in that respect. So, no problem. We'll just go over the timeline, right?
Mhm. Sure. Oh, um, um,
You're getting all this?
yeah, every last little bit of
Okay, we
it,
made it
sure.
to the 900s.
AD or BC?
JD,
Okay.
1200s, 14th century, 15th
Um,
century. Yep, yep.
yeah, sure. Oh, that happened. Wow.
Yep.
Interesting.
There's bad popes. A
Mm,
lot of bad popes.
mhm, mhm. Yep,
It's kind of a
that's
lot.
my face.
Uh, okay, Christ. No, not him.
A
Hang
little bit
on.
of him?
Hang on. Early Christians wrote down his life and teachings as the New Testament. Okay. His miraculous powers were discovered to be due to possessing ancient technology from the East, to including the Shroud of Eden.
Mm,
What the shit? Okay, so mm, let's start at the beginning, shall we?
uh-huh.
2003, Ubisoft began work on a sequel to the long-running Prince of Persia franchise set during the Crusades, to be known as Prince of Persia: Assassin. As they brought in consultants and story writers, the focus began to pivot away from the Prince of Persia title and lead more heavily into a new story. Original IP, we know, it's Assassin's Creed. Hooray.
Yay.
There is a little bit of alpha footage. It's more of just a vertical slice trailer of what Assassin's Creed, I'm sorry, Prince of Persia Assassin would have been. I believe it was originally set in Egypt, not in the Levant. I've seen it. It's very grainy. It was like filmed on somebody's 2006 or 2005 flip phone camera of a presentation in a dark room on a projector.
Well, it
And that's
had
all
one
we
and
know
a
about
half
it.
pixels.
It really did. It was like 160p. Crazy. Okay, so it's 2007. You've booted up Assassin's Creed 1. What are you in for? This
Assassinating.
guy.
Oh,
Look at
me!
this guy. Desmond Miles. Bartender. He's in his 20s. He was kidnapped by a shadowy research group known as Abstergo Industries. They have an interest in researching his ancestor, uh, Altair ibn Lahad, for whom they have an interest because he acquired, or at some point held, a piece of Eden, an ancient
Oh.
piece of technology from a precursor race. They use a device known as the Animus. They stick him in there and he lays down sort of like a MRI or a CAT scan, and he delves into those memories in a virtual environment similar to like a virtual environment you get in a VR headset. Although it's full submersion. If Altair gets hit, he feels pain. To the point where there's something called the bleeding effect, where he's laying perfectly still, but his muscles are tensing and releasing in time with Altair's. And that will train your muscles in universe to the point where he has those reflexes when he wakes up.
Oh,
Indeed. Now, over the years, different games in the franchise, we're going to visit different eras. We're going to have different protagonists, both in the present day and in the past. But this is the initial premise that we're presented with in 2007. Desmond Miles in the Animus, Altair.
they couldn't even take his shoes
Abstergo.
off?
He gets up and walks around. They take breaks. You can't be in it for too long or you start going crazy. With me so far?
Yep.
So, Apple of Eden, this thing. Whee!
Not really an apple, more of just a sphere, but okay.
It is a device known to have existed in Altair's possession at the period of time, in the 1100s of the 12th century, and he hid it away, and Abstergo wants it for research purposes. They won't disclose that to Desmond at the time. You may be wondering, what does it do?
Uh-huh.
It does that.
Why did it only get some of them?
That's a gameplay mechanic.
Is it killing them or just knocking them down?
It is a mind control device, and he is exerting his willpower to cause them to collapse unconscious.
Okay.
That is not the limitation of its power. You could theoretically hold this device and tell someone that they are a frog, they will believe that they are a frog. You could potentially hold this device and tell an entire kingdom that you are their king, and they will believe you and bow.
Uh, oh.
Right. This is a device created by the Isu, this precursor race that we'll explain in a moment, to subjugate humanity. There are more than one. There's a whole lot of them, actually. We don't have a number. We have the number of the ones that we know about.
A whole bushel of apples?
Right. So why does Abstergo want it? Because they're evil. They want to launch it into orbit along with the other three that they already have and create a network of them satelliting Earth in order to subjugate all of mankind.
Mhm. Uh,
So we have our contrivance of the modern day story.
uh-huh.
We have an evil organization
Mhm.
researching ancient technology
Mhm.
to launch into orbit to subjugate all of mankind, and they're going to do so by finding this last piece that they need in Desmond's memories. Now, what we really need to do, to answer the question at the top of the presentation, I can't actually do this time. What the fuck is an Isu? That's an Isu. Mystery solved.
He looks like a people with glowing tattoos.
That's, yeah. He's like maybe half a foot taller than a normal human. Glowing tattoos, we don't really have an answer to. I think it's just aesthetics. Like, doesn't do anything. Yeah, the glowy stuff. So about 100,000 years BC, so 100,000, 102,000 years ago, and some change. Lived a race of advanced humanoid beings known as the Isu. Extremely intelligent, technologically advanced, for what I've gathered, quite tall. They move advanced technology indistinguishable from magic into every facet of their lives, including embedding it into their bodies, their genetics, their minds, embedding their minds into technology, embedding their genetics into technology. As far as I understand, they are not aliens. They are the race that created humans, but they are not alien to this planet, I don't think.
Mhm.
We also don't have any evidence that they ever like cared about space, and I will get to that very shortly. Because if they cared about space, they would have had a plan. We'll get there. So, 75,383 BC, they get themselves into a bit of a war. but it's a war of unification. They're trying to come together as a people. The Isu didn't really like each other very much, and like us, their politics range from minor disagreements to, genocide. This war saw the creation of many artifacts that became important to us later in the game's franchise. Um, Largely weapons, tools. These were not things that they used in their everyday life. They were created because there was a war. It was a war of technological advancement. Um, Between the Isu, should be noted, not Isu and any other force, but just between themselves. Uh, so we have Swords of Eden. Humans perceive these days as almighty blades of awe, like Excalibur, Messamine, um, various swords in Norse mythology, Celtic mythology, Blade of Perseus, Shield of Perseus, that sort of thing, right?
I could see that.
They're rarely just regular swords to the Isu, like these were not legendary artifacts. Every single soldier had one of these, and they could do some crazy stuff like shooting lightning or projecting holograms of the user or causing the user to move at lightning speeds. But that was pretty par for the course for them. That's how technologically advanced we're talking. You had the Apples of Eden. We call them Pieces of Eden sometimes. That's sort of just a blanket term for literally any artifact related to the Isu. These are specifically the apples. Most of the ones that you see there are capable of mind control or illusions, which is basically just mind control.
What did Akhenaten's do?
Akhenaten's apple,
Mhm.
that was used by the Egyptians to subjugate the rest of the Egyptians. So presumably before that, it was also mind control.
Ah,
Yeah. All right. You got
three
the
of them
various
are
rings.
destroyed.
More than three.
Oh,
I don't know why
oh,
that's
four. Well, three of them say destroyed. One says presumed destroyed.
presumed destroyed. Yeah. The
Or two
Isle
of them say
Sky
presumed.
temple was destroyed, so we assume that it was destroyed in that
And
temple.
four also says presumed destroyed. Okay.
I don't know which one four is.
I don't either because it just says Oblivion and four.
I'd have to look that up. That doesn't look like a typical one from the game. That might be from the comics.
But four and five both look exactly alike.
Yeah, that's probably an image from the comics then.
Mm.
Because 1, 2, and 3 are the ones that Abstergo had. 4 and 5 are probably from the comics, and 6 is the one that Ezio hid in temple in Rome, or the Vatican, which now is in the hands of Desmond's father. Anyway, various rings that do all manner of bullshit, like acting as personal bullet deflecting force field or turning you into an illusory werewolf and or mummy for some reason. The first one you see there, the bluish one on the left,
Uh-huh.
is a personal defense shield. If you wear that, you cannot be shot. The Pirate Ring of Eden similarly is a defense shield. Niddur turns you into a werewolf. Ring of Blood turns you into a vampire. Ring of the Moon and Ring of Sand both turn you into a werewolf and a mummy, respectively, I believe.
Mm.
But it's
At
purely
least the names
illusory.
make sense.
Yeah. Ring of Blood was in possession, I believe, by Vlad Tepes the Third.
Also makes sense. Checks out.
Right.
He was a
Exactly.
vampire.
Exactly. Shrouds. These are complicated. This is the one that Christ apparently had.
Shroud of Turin.
Um,
What do we call it? The Shroud of Turin?
Shroud of Turin. Exactly. So these are capable of healing you, even temporarily bringing the dead back to life.
Mm.
You place it over their face, they're able to talk, but they're still dead. That latter bit is a bit complicated because they're not technically the one talking. That particular shroud had the consciousness of a dead Isu known as Consus in it. Is complicated. That's still floating around. That was the plot of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. They were going to try and use the shroud to bring back a dead assassin. The whole thing. A croissant. Gotta be honest, it's in the comic book I didn't read. Don't know what it does. Let me look. Apparently, it does whatever the writers decide it wants to do. It wasn't in
It
a game,
does
I don't think.
plot.
Sure. Um, staves. This particular one is the stave of Hermes Trismegistus. If you hold on to that, you will not die of old age. Ever. You're
You just
immortal.
have to hold on to it forever and ever and ever.
Yep. It can shrink down in size. You just hide it away. As long as it's on your person somewhere, you don't have to hold it in your hand. You can
You use it to hold your
go.
bun up.
Yeah, exactly. There's another one, the papal staff. If you put an apple on it, then you can boost the signal of the apple to control all of population, basically. Crystal skulls. You may notice it has a notch in the forehead, and in that
Uh-huh.
notch is a glass cube, and in that
Uh-huh.
glass cube is a droplet of blood.
Whose?
Could be anybody. So this is two different things at the same time. Uh, one, it can be used like a cell phone to call another one. You have like a holographic conversation with somebody. Kind of a dire looking thing for them to have created. Two, if you put that cube in there with somebody's blood, you can see all of their memories, including present time. So this is sort of the Isu precursor to the Animus.
Now, you can't see memories created after you took the blood, can you?
This can, which is something the
Oh,
Animus
so
cannot.
it's just a
Yeah,
connection from the blood to the person.
to the person throughout all of history. So even more creepy is if you wanted to see that person's future, you could.
Oh?
Yeah,
But it's only is it just the person or can you see their ancestors?
just not demonstrated. Can't give you an answer on
Okay.
that. Yeah, don't know. The scene that we use it in Assassin's Creed 4, you are seeing through that person's eyes at that moment. So that's the
Memories
demonstration.
as they are made.
Yeah, exactly. Memory seals, which are sort of like a DVD for your memories.
Kinda looks like one.
Yeah. I don't know the storage capacity on this, but it seems to take a few memory disks to store a whole person's memories. These also act as keys to certain temples. So I guess this is a DVD. It could have anything on it. Person's memories, the encryption cipher, a door, key code. And last but not least, fucking Mjolnir.
Hammer!
Among many other toys, gizmos we find laying around in old ruins. Crux of the franchise plotline typically is bad guys want these things to do bad things with, and we stop them. And then
Of course
sometimes
they
these
do.
things go into our inventory, and we can do things with them. Sometimes,
Sometimes bad things, sometimes good things, sometimes
usually
cool
good things.
things.
Yeah, you get Mjolnir in Assassin's Creed Valhalla that shoots fucking lightning, and you can smash people with it. It's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. So, about 200 years ago, or I'm sorry, 200 years after the war, the Isu High Council orders the creation of a new workforce. So that they can live in relative harmony with each other and not have another war. Fill in the blank. They created humans to do the
Mm.
dirty work.
What is the
Yeah.
image supposed to be on the left?
That would. Oh, I was about to get to that. Pictured
Uh-huh.
here. Oh no, not them. The no image available is the mother of wisdom Saklas, the sacred voice Samael, the father of understanding Yaldabaoth. These are positions, titles assigned to the Isu in the High Council. For example, we'll later see on the right hand side, Father of Understanding Jupiter, Mother of Wisdom Juno, and Sacred Voice Minerva. This is sort of the Isu royal family, and the Father of Understanding, you're going to hear that term a lot if you play these games, is essentially the god of the Templars.
With the big G.
Yeah. So, regardless what religion they are using to subjugate mankind, whether it's Christianity, Islam, ancient Egyptian mythology, etc., it's always referring to the Father of Understanding, which in their case is Jove or Jupiter, which is this man pictured here. in a hologram.
Mhm.
They're not usually that glowy, but they are in holograms. There's a fair bit of mythology and history for the Isu available if you want to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey's DLCs, where you actually go to Atlantis and Hades and Elysium. None of it is so important that we can't just like skip it and move on to the more important stuff of where humans come into the picture. With Adam and Eve, two Isu human hybrid slaves escape from the city of Eden with an apple of Eden. Humanity rose up in rebellion against the Isu, starting the human Isu war with Eve as their leader. Boobies.
And she has a boob covering her boobs.
She will not in the following slide because I can't help it.
Oh.
Video.
Ooh. Now she has pixels covering her boobs.
Yeah, they're in like invisible skin suits. That flashing is in the game. That's not me adding that. That's not a glitch. Sorry about the dog shit quality. These games are a million years old. They are escaping a factory facility in Eden. In here.
Adam, I have it.
Eve,
Look out!
This was our first introduction to civilization before prehistory. That was Adam and Eve. They had different names. That's what we give them.
She
Escaping.
called him Adam.
It's translated by the like. None of that's in English. They don't speak English.
Oh, okay.
Translated by the enemies. Yeah. I think his name was like Adescent or something like that. It doesn't matter. So they're escaping subjugation. They're leading a rebellion. Eve was voted their leader. She has the Apple of Eden. I wonder how that election really went.
Mm.
They have kids. Important to note that the story of Cain and Abel will come up later. We'll get back to that. For now, the world's exploding.
Oh, that's not good.
So a solar flare is threatening to wipe out all life on the planet. All life, all technology, everything. Everyone will die, including the humans, including the Isu. Father of understanding at the time, Jupiter, the mother of wisdom, Juno, and the sacred voice Minerva, retreated to the Grand Temple. I think it's in modern day New York, not city, like Odin, the stick somewhere, to find a solution from the impending cataclysm, ultimately trying 6 options. None of them work. This one's a little long. Better quality.
Oh, yeah.
So notably, those are Isu that you're seeing fleeing, not humans. That shimmering around the planet is an attempt at a force field. As you can see, it's working very well.
I mean, they tried.
They tried. Literally fell to hell. Their entire civilization completely wiped out. But 100,000 humans survived. No Isu. And they survived by going underground. Hence we get cavemen. Time passes, land erodes. Buries the old facilities.
Farms and more
eventually
farms.
Today. Somewhere under all that is that city.
Mm.
In New York somewhere. Alright. Juno developed a seventh solution to escape annihilation. It's a serum that would allow the Isu to be reborn as humans, their genetic memory imprinted into the genetics of a human being, and passed
Those are
on through their
some
lineage.
big fetuses up there.
Yes. They look fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
Due to worries concerning the pollution of the human genome, the solution was abandoned by Jupiter and Minerva and outright banned, and the serum was locked away. And then Odin stole it and used it on all his guys, with Loki also using it without anyone's permission. And their genes joined the human gene pool. Also, Juno had used it to put Consus's memories into a shroud, as I said previously. At any rate, these hybrid human Isu beings with the memories of the dead Isu, we call them sages, easily identifiable because one eye is a different color than the other, heterochromia. More on that later. For now, let's see how that process works. So this is like 0 hour. The world's about to explode. They're at the facility known as Yggdrasil. Literally coming apart the seams.
Let it flow.
So the serum can only download their memories up to this moment.
From the life tree we go. To the life tree we shall one day return.
Anything that happened to them after this exact moment is not in the genetic code. Which is fine because they pretty much immediately die.
None may follow. Loki least of all. It is done. Now, to face our end.
We're taking weapons, but what are they gonna fight?
Other Isu who will come and try and stop this process. This is illegal, what they're doing. That is Loki, who just killed Heimdall.
Oh,
And he's gonna throw his
I will
genetics
find
into
you,
them.
dead one, on the far side of our doom.
Okay. So, one of the many devices the ECU used that was a failure is known as the Eye. That was a device that could predict the future. He tried to see different outcomes of the different technologies that we're going to use to try and save themselves. This is often, even in the Assassin's Creed stories, mistaken for the shield device that goes around the planet. That is known as the Aurora device, the Aurora Borealis device. They are two different things. They are stored in the same location, so hence the confusion. Minerva used to spy on rather specific memories. Minerva pops up frequently in Desmond's history. Comes to him through Ezio more than anything else, but also through Connor, whose actual name I can't pronounce. Um, Another small caveat that people like to attach is they call him Connor Kenway. He never actually took his father's name. It's just Connor. Anyway, Juno sabotaged that device and got caught. And for that crime and her complacency in helping Odin steal the forbidden mead, yes, they did call it mead, by the way. She was stripped of her rank, her body, and her consciousness was downloaded into the Grand Temple computer, the form of, I guess, forever prison. But that did also preserve her. Cool storyline, right? Wonder if
Yeah.
they'll ever wrap that up. Anyway, okay. None of those options worked, and Earth is completely fucked. Less than 100,000 humans survive, and none of the Isu, save those who put their bodies into the baby batter in the gene pool, and Juno, who is now computer virus. Adam and Eve have kids, Cain and Abel. If you know the story of Cain and Abel, then you know what happens. Cain kills Abel for the Apple of Eden, becomes sort of a precursor to the Templars, and we'll talk about them later. But the point is, he's first to kill anybody after the humans become a thing, and he does so essentially to get his hands on a piece of Isu technology that would allow him to subjugate the other humans.
Hmm.
Right. The history from here on plays out about how you'd expect. You got various heroes and villains you would recognize by name. You Perseus, Heracles, Jason, and the Argonauts. All of them have either some piece of Isu technology or Isu genetics in them, because a lot of them are hybrids. Like, most of the assassins are some degree Isu by bloodline and have the ability to see things that we don't, or move in ways that others don't, and interface with Isu technology in a way that most humans can't. Um, there's also a lot of creatures that were left behind by the Isu in their laboratories. They were trying to study either to create weapons during their own war, weapons to use against us, or study ways to survive that apocalypse. For example, the Hydra, Medusa, these are all experiments on creating biological weapons. Moses parting the Red Sea, that was a staff of Eden used to create an illusion. It didn't actually part the seas, I don't think. Might have. I have no reason why it couldn't make force fields and split the sea open.
Yeah.
They just don't ever tell us exactly what the detail is there. Perseus' shield, that's a piece of Eden for sure. Smash cut to the 1300s BC. Egyptian pharaohs become obsessed with controlling the slave caste. Wow, that sounds familiar. They seek out legendary apples of Eden to do so, thus creating the Order of the Ancients. Ta-da! This is a precursor to the Templars, and this is more or less what we've been fighting in the last couple of games since Origins, because it takes place before the 12th century. So we can't just have Templars do the Order of the Ancients, which is sort of the same thing as the Templars, without Christ in the mix. You also have the Instruments of the First Will, which is sort of a cult that worships Juno. Basically, they found some old computers and had their clay tablets hacked by Juno or something. They don't really play a huge role until computers enter the mix. But they are out there. 465 BC, we get the first actual assassin, Darius II, who kills his brother Xerxes, the Hidden Blade. You will note that he is wearing the Hidden Blade on the top of his wrist,
Mm-hmm.
not on the bottom.
Mine's
This
on
is
the
an important
bottom.
detail, and this will come back to haunt us later. 451 to 405, we have the plot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is far too long to actually get into. Something around 120 hours of gameplay. It's pretty wild. Basically, some Greek mercenaries with Isu heritage fuck around with an Isu artifact in and out of Greek isles, and also in nigh magical quasi realities created by the Isu before their demise that sort of preserves some of their memories, but isn't actually their consciousness, if that makes sense. They created like theme parks based on their memories. Uh, these two characters are brother and sister. They're basically demigods. They have a very high percentage of Isu blood in their systems. They also have access to, well, you can see Cassandra's holding the Spear of Leonidas, which is an Isu artifact. It's broken. She uses it, half of it. And she could throw it and like teleport to it. It's crazy. All of this predates the Assassin's Order by about, give or take, 350 years. But it's still relevant because it deals with a lot of Isu stuff. Then we get 56 BC, Bayek of Siwa, Medjay, one of the sort of desert police of Egypt, all around badass. Order of the Ancients are still around, and Cleopatra is among them. Rome and old cheekbone Caesar is trying to oust them and take over the region. Bayek finds Darius's hidden blade, wears it upside down, and chops his own fucking ring finger off. Like a dipshit. This becomes a ceremonial sacrifice for about 1500 years until the assassins figure out not to do that. It's very dumb.
Because it'll also kind of mark you as an assassin if people realize what's going on with that.
Yep. Well, they make the blade skinnier because Darius's blade was like 3 fingers wide. So it pops out of the hidden blade, chops his finger off. The skinnier blades fits nicely between the pinky finger and the middle finger. It doesn't have to do that if you're smart, and they're not. Cheekbones gets stabbed to shit. Sort of solidifies the position of the assassins going forward as, dethroning tyrants. I would argue we could use some of that right now.
A super take.
This leads to the creation of the Hidden Ones, basically our proto-assassins before the word assassin or hashashin is introduced. Also, if you're ever wondering where this logo comes from, by ex-Eagle friend. He dies during a game, uses that skull as a print in the sand to symbolize the Assassin's Order. Now, this is definitely some back canon. They added this in Origins. Previously, it was a pair of calipers, sort of a reference to Messianic imagery. In Valhalla, it's a pair of axes. It's always something different, but this is what we're led to believe is where that first came into conception. Plus, there's eagle iconography everywhere. Altair's name literally means eagle. So, all right, we have to move on. We skipped the plot of Odyssey. We largely skipped the plot of Origins. Let's skip the plot of Valhalla since it's around 800 something AD. Let's catch up to where Assassin's Creed 1 was in the 1200s. So Desmond's in the Animus, reliving Altair's memories. He sees the Crusades from the perspective of the Hashashins, rebranded Hidden Ones, who become sort of public-facing as an opposition to the Catholic Crusaders invading Levant. So they have the support of the public because they're stopping the Crusaders. So they step out of the shadows, and people are openly giving them intel on where to kill the Crusaders. Yada yada. The assassin leader Al Mualim had an apple of Eden, went fucking nuts with it. Altair kills him. Altair becomes a mentor of the assassins. The apple of Eden is now in his possession, and he knows how to use it.
How did the guy get an apple of Eden?
That's a long story. Best
Oh,
to just play the first game. But
okay.
the point is that he had that the entire time, and he was going to use that to basically turn the assassins into his own personal army and defeat the Templars, which is good and noble, except he's a bastard.
Mm,
Yeah.
aren't they always?
So he uses the Apple of Eden, and it projects this map of the globe about 400 years before anybody should really know that that is a thing.
Before we even know the world is round?
Well, we knew the world was round. Some people
Okay.
doubted it, but
They
they
still
didn't know what it
do.
looked like. from above. Like, that would be kind of a fucky thing to see. And you see there's blinking dots on it.
Mhm.
Those are locations of the temples of the Isu. So that raises some questions for Altair, who is now seeing basically, in his mind, a projection created by the gods.
I would like to
So,
point out that the Isu are really badass motherfuckers. And I will say this because they have a temple in the middle of Australia.
yes,
Nobody lives in the middle of Australia.
that is actually under, what the hell's the name of the mountain? The Uluru?
I don't know.
The big fucking mesa that's in Australia that's full of quartz. Ayers Rock? Something like that?
Oh, probably Ayers Rock.
Yeah. It's Aborigine name, I don't remember. It's Uluru or something like that. Anyway, he wants to archive this history. Um, he sets out to explore these vaults, find the artifacts within, delve into the mysteries that plague his mind now that he's seen this, to understand those who came before, as he calls them. Eventually, he gets old, and he retires back to Masayaf, which is the Hashashin base, having recorded his thoughts in some recovered Isu memory seals. You see them holding one there. He gives these to Niccolo Polo, father of Marco Polo, to go and hide in vaults around the known world to preserve his discoveries, but away from the prying eyes of the fairly newly established Templar Order, formerly the Order of the Ancients. So he's hiding them away in case his order ever gets destroyed. Hopefully, somebody can learn from his teachings and recreate the assassins.
Mhm.
And he left enough clues as to where they were without just giving it away. Modern day Templars. So that symbol there is known as in the Assassin's Creed as the Mark of Cain. We would know it as the Iron Cross. Um, when he slew his brother, he was branded with this symbol, and it became known as the symbol of the Knights Templar around 1129. Um, it existed by various names through history, largely Order of the Ancients, basically trying to use Isu technology and knowledge of the Isu to dominate humanity. Abstergo is essentially modern day Templars. Same ideology, hence the pursuit for the Apples of Eden and Assassin's Creed 1. They have still use the word Templar as their upper echelon, which they actually keep separate and in the dark to Abstergo as a whole. So the people working for Abstergo don't necessarily know that they are Templars. They just
Hmm.
think that they're genetic researchers. And there's actually a whole other Abstergo entertainment industry which creates VR experiences as consumer products and other technologies using acquired EC technology, like health bands. And, they're like a technology company in modern time. They make video games and they make Fitbits.
Interesting.
Yeah,
What kind of video games? Like, what's in them?
Assassin's Creed, basically. Well, so they overtly try and release memories of assassins because they're researching those. They have those memories, but they always try and paint it as like a shitty thing to do, like the assassins are the villains. So they're using it as a propaganda tool, but they're also releasing just like VR experiences. If you watch the VOD from earlier today, there's actually a video at the very beginning of it that is Abstergo's uh, sales pitch or marketing for the new Animus console, where they're like, "This beach belongs to you. No one else has ever seen it except for your ancestor, and you get to experience it in full VR."
Oh,
So it's that sort of thing. It's like, "Hey, do you want to experience being a peasant in the 12th century? We've got that. You can download it to your console right now. Experience shoveling shit in a farm."
I'll pass. Thanks.
Throughout all of history, there's always been some motherfuckers who know way too much, want to do bad things with it, whether it's the pharaohs or the Nazis or the current administration. So Desmond relives these memories and then, through a process known as the bleeding effect, as I said earlier, learns how to move his body like an assassin. The bleeding effect is explained as like the micro twitches, like I said, but also a blending of your memories and the memories of your ancestors and the ability to activate some of those abilities of the Isu DNA that's like recessive into your genetics, like eagle vision. Like I said, they can see things differently than we do, and it doesn't always present itself the same way. There are different variations of eagle vision. Some people see like outlines around people. Some people get this like pulse of awareness, like adrenaline. He has
Spidey
the ability,
sense.
yeah, he has the ability to see like runes and things drawn in blood and then wiped clean. Like if there was ever blood on a surface, he knows it's there. And there's this whole thing where a previous subject of this study, subject 16, which you saw mentioned earlier in a video, had left him drawings on walls in blood, his own blood. And Abstergo had wiped it clean, but it, Desmond could still see it. So he escapes from the facility with a woman named Lucy, who is a double triple agent working for the Assassins and the Templars. Kind of unclear whose side she's on.
It's
We'll
on her
revisit that
side.
very shortly. That'll come back up. Also, she was voiced by Kristen Bell. They escape from the Assassins to a base in. I'm sorry, they escape with the Assassins to a base in Italy, where they have their own Animus. It looks better than the other ones.
Looks more comfy.
Yep. Um, they're going to have Desmond relive the memories of another ancestor known as Ezio,
Yeah.
Auditori da Firenze, in the late 15th century and early 16th century. Ezio saw some shit that he couldn't explain, and the Assassins need to know about that. This is Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. Okay. So now you have the Desmond arc basically done. Plotline speed run, any %. This will be spoilers.
If you don't want
Sorry.
spoilers, skip to ahead.
Get over it. This is the rest of the video. I'm gonna be it's gonna be a gentle approach to the spoilers. I'm gonna give a synopsis and not go into the greater depths of
So
it. If you really want to know what happens in these games, go to Wikipedia and type in the year they take place.
the games have also been out for a long time.
Also true. I'm gonna be mostly covering the stuff that you wouldn't find on Wikipedia, stuff that didn't really happen in real life, stuff that happened specifically in Assassin's Creed. I will mostly be showing ending cinematics, so that does sort of spoil the ending. Anyway, Ezio. Your dad is an assassin. You don't know that though. Your brother's kind of hot. Rodrigo Borgia has your dad brothers hanged for alleged treason. He finds his dad's secret assassin stash, including the hidden blades. Makes friends with Leonardo da Vinci. Covers the assassins in Italy and joins the Brotherhood. Da Vinci discovers that you don't have to cut your fucking finger off in order to use a hidden blade, and that you have one on each arm. And he also puts a gun on one, which is pretty cool. They still wear them upside down, but it is what it is. Borgia becomes the Pope. He's a really shitty Pope. He also has an Apple of Eden, and he's going to use that to control everyone. Ezio receives a prophetic message from Minerva from a piece of Eden that tells him about Desmond Miles. He doesn't know what the hell that means. It sets in motion the discovery that another cataclysm is happening. Another solar flare is going to eat the Earth in 2012. And here's a cutscene. This is in the Vatican.
Oh.
Yeah.
Greetings, Prophet.
That is
It is
Minerva.
good you have come. Let us see it, to give thanks. We must speak.
Who are you?
Many names. When I died, it was Minerva. Before that, Merva and Mera, and on. The others too. Juno, who was before called Uni. Jupiter, who was before called Tinia.
You are gods.
No, not gods. We simply came before. Even when we walked the world, your kind struggled to understand our existence. We were more advanced in time. Your minds were not yet ready. Still not. Maybe never. No matter. You may not comprehend us, but you will comprehend our warning. You must.
None of what you are saying makes sense.
Our words are not meant for you.
What are you talking about? There's no one else here.
Enough. I do not wish to speak with you, but through you. You are the prophet. You've played your part. You anchor him, but please be silent, that we may commune. Listen. When we were still flesh and our home still whole, your kind betrayed us. We who made you. We who gave you life. We were strong, but you were many, and both of us craved war. So busy were we with earthly concerns, we failed to notice the heavens. And by the time we did, the world burned until naught remained but ash. It should have ended then and there. But we built you in our own image. We built you to survive. And so we did. Few were our numbers, your kind and mine. It took sacrifice, strength, compassion. But we rebuilt. And as life returned to the world, we endeavored to ensure this tragedy would not be repeated. But now we are dying, and time will work against us. Truth turned into myth and legend. What we built, misunderstood. Let my words preserve the message and make a record of our loss. But let my words also bring hope. You must find the other temples, built by those who knew to turn away from war. They worked to protect us, to save us from the fire. If you can find them, if their work can be saved, so too might this world. Be quick, for time grows short, and guard against the cross, for there are many who will stand in your way. It is done. The message is delivered. We are gone now from this world. All of us. We can do no more. The rest is up to you, Desmond.
What? Who is Desmond? I don't understand. Please, wait. I have so many questions.
And he will not get his answers for like 25 years. So, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is a direct sequel to 2. Still Ezio. You're now in Rome. Rome is under control of Borgia. He dismantles the power structure that Borgia's built. It would have solidified the Templar reign. He also has the Apple of Eden, so Borgias can't do that plan. He rebuilds the Assassin's Order and becomes the maestro of the Order. Leads to Desmond and co finding an Isu installation that he hid the apple in. Desmond puts his hand on the apple and autoplay doesn't work. Great.
So where are the temples?
You want me to ask it?
Or think it or something. You sure you asked it the right thing?
I know this, I know that symbol. That's a Phrygian cap. It stands for freedom, and that's a Masonic eye. Now those two come together in only one vein.
What's happening? I can't move.
Your DNA communes with the apple. You have activated it.
Let me go.
On the 72nd day before the moment of awakening, you, birthed from our loins and the loins of our enemies, the end and the beginning, whom we abhor and honor, the final journey commences. There is one who will accompany you through the gate. She lies not within our sight. The cross darkens the horizon.
What are you doing?
The path must be opened. You cannot escape your part in this. The scales shall be balanced.
It was on for so long.
Please!
You know very little. We must guide you.
This is the mind
Your
control
struggle.
in effect.
No!
It is done. The way lies all before you. Only she remains to be found. Awaken the sixth. Go, alone.
Well, she dead.
Yep, roll credits. Quite literally, that cuts the credits after that.
Mm.
So, here's the thing. Lucy was voiced by Kristen Bell, and I guess they didn't want to pay her anymore. So they cut her out of the game and made her a secret quadruple, double, triple agent and a traitor.
Mm.
Desmond kills her because Minerva made him do it, which is just some more Isu controlling human bullshit. And he falls into a coma. His memories and the memories of Ezio and Altair are so fucking muddled at this point that he can't even decide who he is anymore. You go through a whole thing in Revelations where you have to figure that out for him. And Subject 16, who died in the Animus, and his brain is now part of the Animus software, uh, helps you through that process because he didn't make it. Assassin's Creed Revelations. Desmond's still in a coma, so they figure the best thing to do is just stick him into the Animus and let him try and sort out his memories himself. He's reliving Ezio's later years, his 50s, 60s. He
Aw.
went to Constantinople, seeking the memory seals that Altair hid. He has Altair's journal, tells him to go there. Too long didn't read. We learn what I already told you about the Cataclysm in the past, the 6 methods they tried, failed. The 7th, which was, they don't really bring up the 7th, which is the mead that Odin used to download his memories into the genetic code. But they do bring up the 6th, which is the Aurora Borealis device, which is located in New York, which is where we go next.
Mm.
Also, Altair gets old. Or, I'm sorry, Ezio gets old very late in his life, actually months before he died, of either being poisoned or just old age. We're not clear. Depending on who you ask. Ezio meets a Chinese girl named Xiaojun. She came all the way from China seeking the aid of the assassins. He's too old. He's stepped down as maestro, but he teaches her what he knows anyway. He also gives her a very important box containing the memory seals to go back to China and rebuild an order there, but against the oppression of the Chinese Empire. Important to us because this is about 70 years before Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is the most recent game, which I've been playing. And that box, I think, is in that game. I'm not sure yet. We'll find out.
You'll find out.
I definitely saw a box in today's gameplay. So what they alluded to being in the box, a jewel, is not what's in that box. And I'll come back to that in a minute. Assassin's Creed 3, we're still Desmond. He's no longer in a coma. We're now in New York. They discover the Isu Grand Temple located there and a device that will ultimately save the Earth, the Aurora Borealis device. But it requires a medallion to unlock, and he has to relive yet another ancestor in the form of Hatham Kenway, Psych, just kidding. He was a Templar. Plays his kid, Connor, or I'm gonna butcher this. Raton Hakaton? Sure.
Sure.
Half Mohawk kid, in the revolutionary America during, the uprising of, like, uh, George Washington and that those people. Sure. I don't know American history. Boston Tea Party, yep. You participate in that, you throw some tea in the harbor for tax reasons, I guess. Anyway, you get the medallion. You go inside the temple. Sound? Uh-oh, there's no
No
sound.
sound?
Um,
Hello, sound?
definitely exported this with sound. That's okay. I'll just talk over it. So he uses the medallion, which they found in Connor's tomb, basically. Uh, Opens the temple.
That's because it's not Pluto. This is a history before.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of a lore tour.
A little bit.
That's the eye. So Juno is in that thing.
Big ball.
That's Juno. And she's been trying this whole game to tell him, like, you gotta free me, you gotta free me, I'm the only one that can fix this. He's like, I don't know that I want to do that. Put your hand on the thing, it'll save everyone. You do that, it'll turn on this satellite that activates the shield. And Minerva shows up and she's like, please, for the love of God, do not put your hand on this thing. You will free Juno and it's really bad. Minerva's like, I should have destroyed this thing. I don't know what the fuck we were thinking, keeping you in here. You must not free her. Free her. Juno's in this thing. We imprisoned her here. She's a bitch. I'll explain. She sought to conquer the world. This is gaslighting. Minerva pretending that she wasn't also trying to control the human race. We did all the numbers, all the math. We figured it out, and it didn't work. Then Juno did the bad thing. Let's skip ahead a little. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, here we go. Show me. Show me all of history. You heed Minerva, the sun will have its way. The ground will crack and split, fire into the sky, all the world will burn. This does not end the world, merely heralds its arrival. Darkness follows. Then you emerge, resolving to lay a foundation that such a tragedy does not befall the world again. You'll become a symbol, will worship you like a god, etc., etc. Basically, if he lets the solar flare destroy the Earth, he'll survive, so will a bunch of humans, and he'll become a god to them.
Hmm.
Right. Heed these words or perish as a heretic. Yeah. So then his words will get turned against them, and this is basically what happened in the past. That's why Christianity sucks. Better. So his own like good words of guidance will be turned against mankind and used to subjugate humanity. Same as it was. Same as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Or alternatively, put your hand on the fucking device, get in the robot Shinji, will destroy the solar flare, and you die. Minerva again still trying to gaslight him. Let's get to the point where he puts his hand on the thing. Blah 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 blah. It's done. Decision's made. The consequences of the mistake are yours to live and die with. Everybody get out of here. Get the fuck out. We'll find another way, son.
That's his
He's
daddy?
voiced yeah, he's voiced by Q from Star Trek.
Oh.
He's still around. He shows up at the end of, Valhalla. He's the maestro of the assassins currently. They're new leader. Has been for a while. The 70s? What's the same on the thing? Juno is now free. He is dead. The Aurora Borealis device goes into effect. We have an Aurora Borealis around the entire planet that is protecting us from solar radiation. Juno downloads herself into the entire internet. She calls it the Grey. She wants to pull all of mankind into the Grey to preserve us digitally, because she thinks that technology is kind of neato. They're just talking about how everyone could see the ring of fire from the solar flare hitting the Aurora Borealis. So wouldn't it be cool if they, like went somewhere with Juno being on the internet and, a digital entity that could destroy us at any time?
He didn't.
So they wrapped that story up in a comic book that nobody read. I haven't read it. It involves Desmond's son he didn't know he had for reasons. Forget it. We're moving on. The other thing that they introduced was Erudito, a hacker group that hacks into the Animus and starts doing some research of their own. Like, there's some points of this story where perhaps Connor doesn't remember it the way it really happened, because the thing is, we're not seeing actual historical events. We're seeing memories, and those memories have been manipulated by pieces of Eden. This is
Yeah,
another
memories can
storyline.
be wrong too.
Absolutely. So, like, we're going to call them pivot points, points where the story doesn't quite align with how history remembers it. And is that a fact that, history has been rewritten since then by other people? Is it a fact that his memories have been rewritten or he misremembers things? Or has it been hacked?
A little bit from
Really
column
interesting
A, a little bit
storyline.
from column B, a little bit from column C, and sprinkle in a dash of or what the fuck ever.
Yeah. Really cool storyline. They completely abandoned it. Moving on. Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag. You're playing as, well, they kind of presented that you just got a job at Abstergo Entertainment. Like, it's in first person. You are playing as you. For some reason, you're only a male. Whatever. You're hired by Abstergo Entertainment, the branch of Abstergo that makes the VR games. Your job is to research the memories of Edward Kenway. He was a pirate in the 18th century, 17th century. I'm not clear. Basically, like they have a service like 23andMe where, oh, timely reference, they just went bankrupt. Um, they take your DNA samples and then they spit out a video game based on those memories of your ancestors, if they're interesting. Like your cubicle mate in games, you have a cubicle in game, like you're an office worker. Your cubicle mate is researching one of Edward's ancestors, who's just like a Welsh sheep farmer who shovels shit all day, and he's just like, "This is so boring. God, what are you doing over there?" It's like, "I'm a pirate." Oh, I get the worst assignment. It's actually really cute. I love that scene. Anyway, the new Animus Helix does not require it to be your ancestor. It can be anybody's. So you're reliving one of. So they have recovered Desmond's body. Abstergo did, and they're using his DNA, and they went to Edward. You dive into the memories of Connor's grandfather, father of Hatham, Welsh pirate. You discover the existence of the Isu crystal skulls, which allow, like I said before, like two-way calling, also to view memories of people forward and back in future. Yeah, no big mystery here. There's also the presence of this guy. He is a sage. He is the genetic ancestor of Bartholomew Roberts, otherwise known as Black Bart. His current name is John Standish. He's the IT guy at Abstergo Entertainment. They obviously don't screen their employees very well. He's also the DNA ancestor of Aita, which was Juno's boyfriend, I guess. And he is a member of the group that's trying to bring Juno to flesh. She's still
I
on the
thought
internet.
I thought you said they had two different color eyes, or is one of his eyes lighter than the other? It's hard to
He
tell.
has like a brown and a green eye. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't see this because it's a shitty image. There's
Mm.
like scan lines. Yeah, he does have two different colored eyes in game.
Okay.
Yep. He wants to kill you because you're standing in the way of bringing Juno back from the internet to reality. There's also this guy who shows up in a bunch of games. That's Johanny Otto Berg. He doesn't have a pink eye. He's a special forces in the Abstergo. He's a member of the Templars. So that sectioned off part of Abstergo that's actually the Templars. He's one of them. He's like their elite hitman. Basically a counter assassin. He comes to clean up the situation after John Standish here causes a bit of a scene by trying to kill you.
He
It's
looks
like
like a
nothing bad.
doofus.
He's kind of a neo-Nazi.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, guy on the left goes a little crazy, tries to kill you. The rest of what is essentially Ubisoft Montreal goes like, "Oh my god, what's happening? Terrorists!" And this guy comes in, he's like, "Nothing bad happened. You saw nothing. Nobody here saw anything. And if you saw something, I'll kill you." And then he kills John Standish in the bathroom. And they steal his body to go and study it. This game, nobody played. I did. It's a direct sequel to 3. You're playing as Templar, who... Well, it's actually a prequel to 3. It's between 4 and 3. It's weird. He's a assassin who went Templar. He betrayed the order. You're playing as a different Abstergo Entertainment employee shortly after the events of 4. So Otto Berg is still there, and the Templars are like doing damage control for what was basically an assassination attempt that happened in their business. They're like, what happened? What does he want? What was he looking into? What was everyone doing here anyway? Because apparently they didn't really have any idea what Abstergo Entertainment was researching. You were researching the memories of Shay Cormac. He makes his own luck. He says that a lot in the game because he's Irish. And apparently that's the only thing that they could think of. You're set in New England shortly before the events of Assassin's Creed 3, probably about 25 years before. The characters in that game are a little younger, and Connor is like not born yet. You do see Hatham. You do not play as him. Ostensibly friends with Hatham. Largely a forgettable game. Not many played it. Came out very late in the Xbox 360 and was not re-released. There is one standout plot point, though, which is this thing. The same box that Ezio had and gave to Shoujin somehow made its way back to around the sea, and a Chinese pirate brought it to the Caribbean. Precursor box. This thing paired with the Vonyuk manuscript, you see underneath it, can translate the ancient Isu text into English, and it has a bunch of information about genetic modification long before any humans figured that out. Um,
Not a good
this
thing to
is
have.
Yeah, it's also got a lot of information about, like, if you put that box next to any other Isu technology, it tells you how to use it. This is the tutorial box. So this is basically how Abstergo learns how to use Isu technology and create the animus, because they get their hands on this. And again, like I say, I think it's an AC Shadow, so I'm not sure. Shay gets his hands on it. It's acquired and studied by, of all people, Ben Franklin, who figures out if you run an electrical current through it, because of course it's
Of
electrical.
course.
It will just activate and show you a map similar to the Apple. So that's how they figure out where some of the seismic temples are, which are devices that were used to try and keep the planet in one piece when it was shaking to shit. Assassin's Creed Unity. Again, we're playing as ourselves. This time we're a consumer of the Abstergo Entertainment console, not an employee. We bought ostensibly an Xbox and downloaded what we thought was going to be a video game, and turned out that it got hacked by the assassins, and they're like, "Hey, you don't know us, but we need you to do something for us in this video game. Can you find out where they hid the Shroud of Turin?" So you do that. He plays Arno Dorian. He's an assassin. He gets kicked out of the assassins because the assassins are undergoing a bit of a schism where they've been taken over by the Templars. Not much here to really talk about. Eventually finds an Levine. It's a little smaller than the normal ones for some reason. He gives it to Napoleon. Napoleon does
Oh,
bad
that's
things
why
to him.
it's smaller, so Napoleon could feel like he was holding a full-size apple.
I guess so. He also finds the skull of Saint somebody or other, I forget. And apparently that's an Isu artifact because if you open its mouth, it shines light and does things. I don't remember. I didn't play this game very much because it ran like shit. Looked great, ran like shit. This is also around the same time that the Juno comic came out, and also the movie that wasn't very good and didn't stick to the lore at all. We're not going to talk about the movie. Syndicate. Basically the same situation as Unity. You're playing as yourself. This time you're the same character from Unity who has now joined the Assassins, but as an initiate, meaning you just do like research projects for them. You don't actually go and kill anybody. You're tasked with revisiting the memories of Jacob and Evie Fry, twins. First time we ever get to play as two characters because their DNA is so identical that they can parse it through the Animus just fine. They're assassins in London in the late 1800s, pursuing still the Shroud of Eden, piece of Eden capable of healing someone and reviving them, albeit briefly, gains memories to conscious, blah, blah, blah. The other game basically goes nowhere and accomplishes nothing. You briefly see some stuff in World War II in England, but it's an Animus glitch and you're not really supposed to be there. That almost killed the franchise. Like, nobody gave a shit about Syndicate. They rebooted the series with Origins, sort of a soft reset, and here we can sort of slow down in my little speed run that we're doing here because there is some good chunky stuff in here. Layla Hassan, our new modern day protagonist, no longer playing as ourselves. She is a member of Abstergo's research team. She is not in the know necessarily of the Templars. She's just a researcher. She worked on the Animus. She made a new version of it capable of taking DNA samples from corpses and turning those into Animus memory environments. So if you found, for example, a mummified body, you could poke it and relive those memories, rather than having to hunt down a descendant and using their DNA. She
Huh.
was sent to Cairo to research an important artifact from the Atara Depression in Egypt, which is 50 something, around the same time as Cleopatra. Finds bodies of Bayek of Siwa and his wife Aya in a tomb. Also, Aya is also known as Amunet, the person that shows up in AC2 as a statue. They're mummified, uses Bayek's DNA to get some insight into what's going on in that era and the origin of the Hidden Ones. No need to go over the story that happens there because we'll play it at some point. He kills off the Order of the Ancients. Aya kills Cheekbones. That's the Animus.
Not as
It
comfy
definitely.
as a lounge chair.
No, it's sort of a sarcophagus, but it is portable, and that's important. She has to
Mm.
lug this down into tombs. It also has to keep her alive. Like, she's in there alone and has to, like, run IVs and stuff because she's not eating for hours. And there's nobody to watch over her.
Mm.
Odyssey. Oh, boy, okay. Let's not go too far into this one because it's extremely dense. Leela has joined the Assassins after learning more about them and learning that the Templars are bad. She's now researching DNA, not from a body in this case, because Cassandra's not dead, and I'll explain that in a second. But she gets some blood from uh, the Spear of Leonidas. Anyway, she joins Desmond's dad in researching the memories of pre-assassin mercenary Cassandra and her brother Alexios. You can choose to play as either one of them, but Cassandra is the canonical one. I don't want to spoil important plot stuff, so because I'm definitely going to play this at some point. Lots of stuff about Isu in this one. You get to meet the memories of some of them, and you learn about Isu society and experiments on humans and how they were making like genetic monsters and that sort of stuff. Cassandra is still alive even today, up until this game where she hands off the staff of Hermes Trismegistus to Cassandra, at which point she starts to age naturally. But for 2,500 years, she didn't age. And she shows up in other games, specifically Valhalla, where she meets Ivor in like 870 AD. So she's just been around this whole time, doing poor thing. Kind of a Mary Sue. I'm over it, though. It gets pretty crazy with where you go with Isu stuff. You meet some of them, go to different places. You go to, like, Atlantis, you go to Hades, you go to Elysium. You meet, like, Cerberus, stuff like that. Valhalla, you're still Layla for 98% of the game. You're now in New England, regrouped with the other assassins from Assassin's Creed 3. So Desmond's dad is still there, and the other two researchers that were with them. They have the remains of Ivor, a female Viking from 800 something AD, who was buried in like Massachusetts somewhere. You might be asking why there's a dead Viking in Massachusetts, and if you don't know that, you should probably go to Wikipedia and figure it out yourself.
They landed there.
Yep. Game establishes the thing about Odin and the mead and all that. That's all in there. I won't spoil too much because, again, I'm going to play this for sure. I will mention some points about the ending of the game. This you would think it's a big spoiler. It's not. You really will not understand it without context anyway. But it's also largely irrelevant to the Viking plot line that takes place. But Desmond's back, kind of. His brain joined the Singularity, and he's known as the Reader, an algorithmic entity within the Yggdrasil machinery. Layla joins him in the Grey as the Writer, so she's going to essentially. He's trying to figure out the future. She's trying to understand the past. They're going to come together and try and figure stuff out. Basically, they're Adam and Eve again.
Oh.
What we're getting at, yeah. She's in there permanently. Her body's decaying. Basim, who is the assassin from Valhalla, and he has his own game called Mirage, who is also a sage with the memories of Loki, has now awakened in modern times after being in stasis since the 800s. For whatever couple of hours are left of DLC that you still play after Layla gets turned into Data. That plot line has not been revisited in Shadow, and we don't know if it ever will be. But that's where we left off after Shadow, or after Valhalla. Is Basim is in modern times with all the memories of Loki, looking for his kids who were genetic monsters, as far as we understand. That's Desmond.
Fun. He's glowy.
He is Data. Mirage, like I said, is exploring Basim's backstory when he was alive and not in stasis. Struggling with visions of Loki fucking with him. We are led to assume that the modern day protagonist, if there was one, there isn't one present in the game, but we are to assume that it is William Miles, or Desmond's father, reliving these memories, or one of his lackeys doing research for them, because he obtains Basim's blood in modern day. He's just like, I just want to know that I can trust you. So they go back to his memories to figure out who he is. Basically, he's a sage, like I said. Doesn't understand the visions he's seeing, hallucinates a bunch, has an imaginary friend who is a girl for some reason, but it's actually Loki. It's just sort of Loki things, you know?
Loki is whatever.
Yeah. Ultimately irrelevant, but very fun. And this brings us to today. So we're here. AC Shadows. Modern day protagonist is once again just us. When we boot up the game, we're presented with a screen that sort of emulates as if we were in the Animus or on a home entertainment device. There's a hacker called The Guide who's telling us that Abstergo is lying to us. That's as far as I've gotten so far, so I can't say anything more than that. There's a line in the opening to the game that says, some memories are corrupt, some are misremembered, and some she doesn't want you to see. Gonna be interesting to find out what that means.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But now we're playing as Yasuke and Naoe. Yasuke is a former slave who has entered the service of Oda Nobunaga, and Naoe is a Iga shinobi fighting against Oda Nobunaga. We're here. Hooray. We're almost done.
Yay.
I did want to just say a few things while I still have everyone's attention. A lot of discourse lately about the story of Assassin's Creed, specifically how it has strayed away from the formula of Assassins versus Templars in recent years, showing us stories that predate the Hidden Ones, or showing us stories of people who were never assassins, like Ivor, who worked alongside them but was never actually an assassin, just a Viking, and who fight and play very different from an assassin, and aren't necessarily fighting against anything that resembles a Templar. The world of Assassin's Creed is about those who would use the Isu technology to enslave humanity, and those who try to fight against it. Those two people sometimes are called Templars and Assassins, but not as a rule. They could be anybody. History is a big thing. The Earth is a big place. Lots of people, lots of different people, lots of different ideologies. There's also been a lot of discourse recently motivated by a growing trend of hate and bigotry regarding the perceived forced inclusion of non heteronormative relationships, of people of color or minorities and women as protagonists. Some saying it's unrealistic that there would ever be a female warrior, assassin, whatever. I'd like to remind everyone that the following screen on the next slide has been shown on every single Assassin's Creed game since the first one. Every single one has said, inspired by historical events and characters, this work of fiction was designed, developed, and produced by a multicultural team of various beliefs, sexual orientations, and gender identities. This has been there since 2007. So anyone who says that the game has gone woke can go fuck themselves. Thank you.
Yay.
This is the end of the slides. Get fucked, bigots.
Mm-hmm.